Oh, yes, we're finally live. Hi, guys. Welcome to our second Hangouts with our patrons. And today we have Ndulamo Poli and Panache Zimunya, right? That's your surname, right? Yeah, that's your surname. You know, when you're friends with people, sometimes don't even know what their surnames are. But yeah, I think I got it right. And in today's Hangout episode, we're just going to be exploring episode 2 and episode 3 combined. So, we're going to focus mostly on the things that we think are non negotiable in view of the opinion that we have that one shouldn't lose their identity because of a relationship or to lay their soul down for the sake of love. And the other thing we're going to then talk about is flaws in a relationship that humans are inherently imperfect. So you can't have a list that makes the perfect person because no one is perfect. So we're just going to talk about what we think are flaws that are acceptable and that those that one should flee from, and those that are acceptable, how do we deal with them in a relationship? So again, we have Ndulamo, Panache, BK, and myself. So I'll throw it to Ndulamo at first. What do you think about core values, compromise or not? Yeah, just as a start.
Hi, Nabu. Guys, thank you for having me on the show, on the podcast. It's okay if I call it a show, right? Anyway,
Yeah, it's cool.
firstly, I want to congratulate you and BK for starting this show. It's been cool. It's been good. It's been great following y'all. Um, Keep at it, guys. We will stress you to keep it alive. Anyway,
No pressure.
following on Nobubele's question, I think it's very important for us to accept that there's things that are universally um, important for people to consider when getting into relationships. And I'm saying this within a context of saying there are things which cannot be compromised, which cut across everyone. And I think the moment we ignore it, thinking that this is unique to a certain people, we lose out on an opportunity to be in great and fun relationships. One of the things that comes to mind, and obviously there's going to be a lot that will come to mind, is religion. And I think that we often ignore the whole religion thing to our own detriment. And here I'm acknowledging that some people don't believe in any religion. The very fact that your worldview is such that you don't believe in anything, you're better off with somebody who shares the same views concerning religion. And similarly, the one who believes in something, be it the Islam faith, the Christian faith, the African tradition, etc., you're better off with somebody who shares that line of thought. And even within, and obviously I'm sounding a bit simplistic here, but I think it's very important to say, even within the whole let's say Islam faith, there are variations. So again, you want to be certain that somebody is viewing Islam from the same perspective you are viewing it from. So I think religion is one of those top things because it often does shape what Nobele kept mentioning in the podcast, which is your worldview. I think religion plays a very critical role in that regard. And I thought I should mention that from the onset, that religion is very important when choosing a partner.
Okay, cool, interesting. And Panasha, what do you think? What are the do's and don'ts? Or are there any?
Hi, thank you guys for having me. I think two.
Do we have Panashe?
Well, I can barely hear him on my end.
Both be on the same.
Can you guys hear him? I can't hear him on my
No, I
end.
can't hear you.
I can't hear him as well.
Okay. Maybe he's having some challenges.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whilst Panache is sorting that out, I think, like Polly said, it's not just, just continuing with the whole frame of religion. The idea behind it is just
Can you guys
all of the stuff that you believe in that shapes who you are. And I think Polly mentions religion because it's one of those big things that shapes who we are. And if that is not the same between the two of you, then a lot of things become difficult to decide on later. If somebody believes, like I have a friend who does not celebrate birthdays, and so sometime back it was their birthday, and I sent them a birthday message, and they're like, "Oh, cool, thanks, but I don't do birthdays." It was a bit awkward. So you can imagine you believe that, but like birthdays are a big thing to you based on your religion, and your person thinks birthdays are not a big deal. It's a small issue, but it can cause some some problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Panache, we were struggling to hear you. Is everything okay now?
can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I messed around with my mic. Sorry about that.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for having me. I think my earlier point was I was agreeing to some extent
Oh no, and the mic does the thing.
I'm sorry about that. Another call just came in.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I was saying, I agree to some extent with what was saying about finding someone who, in terms of key areas like religion and stuff. But there's also the school of thought that's like, why don't I just try and be, open minded to learn something new or explore possibly without necessarily losing who you are, but just like find out what exactly this whole other new idea that this person is presenting me with is about. That's all.
Yeah, I guess, but again, I think it depends on how far you planning the relationship to go. I think if it's just a let's be casual about this, maybe you could, I
Yeah, yeah,
guess,
yeah, yeah.
say okay, go on harm to know what they believe in and stuff. But I think if you're going to take it to a deep level, things like that commitment and a lot, I think it's a bit tricky. Not to say it's impossible. Some people have done it. A lot of people that we know have gone on to marry people of different religions. They're happy and they're making. So of course,
Exactly.
there's no one size fits all. But I hear you that for some people, the challenge of learning something new might be attractive, and that's fine. So I think also, it's easy to talk about things like religion and things like ambition. I wouldn't want to, especially as a woman, I wouldn't want to get married to a guy who thinks a woman's place is in the home. You get it? That I can't aspire to be anything in life. So I must just I have an education because it was the time to be at school. But from now going on, you are a wife. So I think things like that also. To say, does the other person value my worth, and are they willing to see me progress and become an individual in the independent person, or are they to them am I supposed to be under their will? What do you guys think about that? Ambition and goals in life.
Well, I hadn't told you, but I believe that it was in the kitchen.
There's a
Now you
place
know.
for you. There's a place for you.
There's ambition in being a housewife. There's no shame.
No, and that's the other thing. I think maybe let me add also to say for some people they might not have a problem with then becoming a housewife, but I think it's important to communicate from word go. Obviously, on the first date, you can't be like, "Oh, by the way, if this ends in marriage, you're gonna be a housewife." Of course, not at the first date. But I think somewhere the progresses intentions should be clear to say, okay, this is what I expect from someone who will be a wife or will be a husband. Not to say now you've walked down the aisle, you're living happily, and then next thing he says, "Oh, by the way, you should resign now," and you're like,
Yeah, it's about time.
so communication also is important. So maybe I would be willing if I knew from where to go that this is what I'm going to have to do. So communication is important.
I think you've hit it right there on the head when you say communication is important. You must be able to spell out what you expect from your partner
Exactly.
and what you expect from yourself as well within that relationship. I mean, you can't get married to someone whose plans you don't know, whose plans for you, let alone you don't know. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, obviously.
But
Ndulamo, you
that's a,
quiet.
you know, that's a bit difficult. A lot of us, a lot of people when they are at the point of just about get just about to get into a relationship, we think that things are a bit fragile and volatile. So I don't want to say things that might jeopardize what's about to happen. So if I say these points, if I bring up these things that might end up causing us to not be together, then I've just messed up things for us, for myself. So a lot of
Yeah,
us,
but what? No, continue.
yeah, a lot of us at the point of trying to get into a relationship are just, we try to keep all of these things that might be a problem away
Which is
to
a
make sure
problem.
that it happens.
Yeah. Um, can I just interject and say I wanted to comment on what Panashe said earlier on. I hope I'm not dragging us down this religion path.
It's okay.
Um, whereas what you mentioned has its merits, I'm of the view that if your approach to whatever religion it is such that you are continuously searching for what would be truth to you, you are so open to new ideas because your current view of truth is allows for you to continuously seek more truth in that regard. I hope I'm not using this truth thing too much, but the point that I'm making is, to a certain extent, that is your view of religion. So you're better off finding someone who's also on a path of saying, I have this religion, and I'm open to understanding more about truth in with regards to religion, because you know what, you don't want to be with someone who has fixed views concerning the idea of faith, and you don't have fixed ideas about them. At some level you just, you're not compatible, and your worldview, sooner than later, as Novelle said, if it's long term, it's going to play out that your differences are actually huge. So if you're not yet fixed on anything, maybe what you don't need is a relationship, a romantic relationship. You need more friends, until you find yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, and just keep learning from friends. But when you are decided on what you define as religion, then yeah, maybe you can start considering somebody who shares the same beliefs with you. But just in case you are on a path of saying for the rest of your life you're going to continuously search, then find someone who's also going to be continuously searching. That's your belief as the both of you, and you don't want to be with someone who doesn't share that. Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I can see there's a lot. There's a lot. I feel like Parasha is dying to say something,
No,
but
no,
we're gonna I'm gonna have to
no.
cut you.
I,
Okay,
it's
no,
fine. No, I
one
actually
minute.
wanted to comment on what Begani was saying about trying to avoid having such conversations early on. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, yeah, you wouldn't want to spook someone from the onset with such deep conversations about, like, what are your life aspirations and all that. But at some point, I mean, you have to, as the relationship progresses, I mean, you have to know certain things about the person that you're with in order for you guys to move on. That's all.
Yeah, true. Okay, moving on from these fundamental core things, let's go into flaws. We're all flawed. I think my flaw in
I'm not.
relationships. No, trust me. I think my flaw in relationships is I am not a talker. So if I'm mad, I'd rather just keep quiet and deal with it on my own. I don't have to continue. And I know BK hates that.
Really? I didn't know
And,
that.
go away. And I feel his flaw is not communicating in some instances. For example, I'm waiting up whatever, and he says he's leaving home, and then it's 1 hour later, and the last thing he said is leaving home, and I'm like, you should say I am now here. I'm now here. I got held up here. So those are flaws, but I'm supposed to snap it big and say, I told you that you should always tell me where you are. Should I let it go? How do you think we should deal with flaws in a relationship? They vary. What I think is a flaw might not be a flaw to you, but in general, to approach uh, the shortcomings of our people. Anyone?
Okay.
Any
I can
takers?
start. I think first of all, you should learn to speak because men can't read minds. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
And secondly, I think it's more to the point that you guys alluded to in the podcast about flaws being subjective. I understand all that, but there's certain things that are red flags from the onset that you can notice about a person before you even enter into a relationship, and you must be able to kind of pick up on all those and ask yourself if you're willing to go through all that unnecessary. I don't want to call it unnecessary or crazy, but if you're willing to put yourself through that for that next person, or it's just something that you can't deal with, try to find someone else.
Okay. Dulamo.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think that we underestimate this idea that marriage doesn't change people. There's this subtle hope that certain things will change, but I think we need to put it out there right now that marriage does not change anyone. And in fact, you can't change anyone. People change out of their own volition and out of their own decision and out of the frame of their understanding of how they can change. So I just think it's important for us to establish that so that it gets us thinking seriously about the things that we can't live with. I'm of the view that, and my fiance has done this. She did it on me. That before she chose me, she had this 10-point list where she wrote a couple of things that she can't take and things that she prefers don't exist but she can live with. And I think to a great extent that's what I also did with her. But it's not like I wrote it down like her. But there's things that you need to come to terms with that this I can't handle. And some of these things don't have to be objective things. They to the rest of the world, but to you they are in quotes objective. For instance, I don't think I can handle no, let me not say this. This might offend someone. Anyway, but the point is,
No, now I'm curious. Now I'm curious. We want to know.
no, but there's like potentially 1 million people that will listen to this to this podcast, and I don't want to go out of favor with people. But anyway, I think it's important for us to really point out the stuff, and nobody should define this for you. Maybe this is why some school of thought would suggest that people need to know themselves first before they date. I think it's very important for you to understand yourself. What do I like? You don't have to know yourself to the core, to the full, to the brim, but I think there's a certain threshold of knowing yourself that is crucial so as to understand the things that you can take and things that you cannot take. But because there's nothing as frustrating as being with someone and who can't stand your flaws, as if you didn't declare them or as if they were not apparent. But because this person had not fully grasped grasp who they are, they underestimated certain things and they thought that they could handle them. And boom, we're now married, and you are making an issue out of it, making me uncomfortable. So please figure yourself out. When you figure yourself out, be clear about the things that you can or cannot take. Yeah.
On that note of figuring yourself out, I see we just have a few minutes left. When we're discussing with Big, and I was of the opinion that you need to know yourself, like know what your shortcomings are, and make them known to your partner. So you should be willing and open to your partners, those who know you better, to say, what do you think are my flaws? And then you kind of tell your partner what they should look out for in you. Also, not because you're just saying a disclaimer to say, by the way, I have a problem with this, take me or leave me, but to say also, help me, I struggle with this. But he was of the opinion that because flaws are subjective, what if what I think are flaws are not flaws to that person? So he was kind of like, he doesn't really believe that you should tell your person what your flaws are. What do you guys think? Vegan, do you still stand with that stance? Don't tell them. Let them
Yeah,
discuss.
let me use my own words.
Mm.
Nobel was clearly a bad advocate.
Yeah,
That's what he's saying.
she was advocating for her own side. No, I was saying, okay, her suggestion was I get to know myself, I get to find out all the things that I think are my flaws. And I ask family, I ask friends, and they tell me the things that they think are flaws. So that just before or just after I get into a relationship with
I,
somebody, we can
no,
sit down. But
no, I did not say just before, just after.
oh, okay, just after. All right. Get into a relationship with somebody, we can sit down and I tell them, I think my flaws are this, this, and that. So, just be on the lookout for that. I won't be disrespecting you if this happens. I thought, whereas it's okay, I guess. But given that these things are subjective, so there may be the things that I genuinely view as flaws on myself. Maybe to you don't matter at all, but I skip all of the things that actually do matter to you. Then when we're now inside or in the relationship, you start seeing all of those things that I did not mention because I generally didn't think they were a big deal. And now it seems like I was hiding these flaws from you. When we set aside time to discuss all of the things that might be a problem. You told me you had A, B, C, and D, but you didn't tell me about E, F, and G. Now look what's happening. But I didn't think E, F, and G were a big deal at all.
Okay. What do you guys think? 1 minute, 1 minute. Do you tell your person or do you let them discover?
I think what you might feel is the very possibility that what you might feel is a flaw could be a flaw to the other person indeed is worth it. I think it's worth sharing. Let it be their decision to say no, it's actually not a flaw to me. Because why should we spend 4 months discovering what we could have discovered from the onset? And really, I'm not trying to make relationships a bit mechanic, but it's out of an understanding of saying at the core of it, we want to establish truth here. And truth is there's stuff that you can't handle, and we're trying to see if what I think I have is stuff you can't handle. But if I'm wrong, hey, let's give it time and see if indeed I've got stuff that you might find to be a flaw you can't handle. If time allows, I've got something else that I'll share later on concerning this.
All right, Panashe, 1 minute. Then Polly, back to you. Then I'll close the show.
All right. I'm all for confusing the enemy. Thank you. I don't think there's need. I don't think there's need. I'm with Begani on this one. I don't think there's need to like play out all your cards in one go.
Plus, besides that, it's hard.
Yeah, besides it being hard, at the end of the day, you can actually make an argument to that flaws are what make us who we are. So you can't necessarily change something that's a part of you to some extent. But I mean, if it's something that's really, really bad, then yeah, of course, that you have some work to do. But at the same time, someone probably has to learn how to live with you or to deal with you and those flaws that you come with. That's all.
All right. Okay.
Confuse the enemy.
It's true, okay, it's true. All right, it's fine. Dulamo, what did you want to say?
So just last night, I was sharing this with BK and Nobu that my fiance and I went through personality tests, and we dug in a bit and found out stuff that comes with the weaknesses that come with certain personalities, at least from the perspective of the author. And those weaknesses were stuff because we now know each other long enough. Are flaws indeed that we both appreciated to be flaws, and yet a lot of them I can live with them, and she can live with some of mine. The point that I'm trying to drive at is I wish, imagine us discovering this on the eve of our wedding. And so my encouragement would be to say, when people are starting to date, remember we said love is not enough. We probably need to also just be scientific about discovering each other's personalities and the general weaknesses that come with that, and start to position ourselves to see whether or not we can live with those things. It may not work for everyone, but we found it very helpful in that it brought out certain things that could potentially bring conflict and so forth. So yeah, I propose that people do personality tests and share results and all of that, so as to discover stuff that they can live with, or they can't live with. Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm sure there's a lot that we could have said, but to keep it short, thank you very much for joining us today. And we hope you will join us some other time as well. This is not the first or the last hangout you're going to sit in. And to all our viewers, please let us know what you think about this. Feel free to agree or disagree, to comment as well. Subscribe, like, review, and do everything. Yeah, I think, BK, do you have anything to say?
No, nothing. Just like our Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
It's facebook.com/just living life podcast. And we can continue the discussion there.
All right. So thank you very much, guys. Enjoy your evening.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, cool.